Okay, my friends, this is about one of the best days of my life. I finally feel that we are going to get this case closed. I've been talking about the Earth being literally biology, and as far as I could determine, everything in the universe is biology. It's just, I'm making that statement now. Now, these are what they call polygons. You see how they have these little flat faces that bump up against each other? And then it's the same as this here. This is what's called fascia and tendons. All right, the fascia coats the tendons, but these are the polygons. There they are right there. And they come down from a big bundle, like a big strap that pulls your legs and your feet and your fingers and everything. And then they come down into tiny, 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 tiny fibrils. But they still have this same pattern. On and on and on down. See it? Boom, 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 boom. And this is it. So we're going to see all kinds of this stuff, but at the very end, there's a ball on that. There's little tiny balls, and they anchor. They're called, I call them tendon balls, because this is a tendon, and then they're in, and they're the balls, and they're all over the place, and nobody can figure those out either. And they're gigantic too, because look at this thing. If this is one of these fibers down here, and that's on a tendon in your body, that could be a tendon on one of your fingers, and a tendon might be 100 feet across on one of your fingers, and one of the tendons, and there's about 20 in there. I'm telling you, we just missed everything. Now, Tyson, my brother from another mother, out on the West Coast, Tyson Carlson, just got a drone. He's got a giant, very similar size. I'm telling you, the Earth is covered with creatures, and they're finally starting to understand it, and everybody's starting to come on board, and there's a fabulous station. I'm going to show you in a channel. I'm going to show you in a second, but this is the I could present. I have three. Well, let me show you right now. All right, that's a hand from it's 3 feet wide, and that's the palm, and this is exactly what you have on your hand. It's a left hand, and if you put your left hand out like that, you got this little bumpery thing, and it's different. It's a different material than there. There's a tendon that runs right down. This is where your thumb goes. You know, your thumb goes off this way. Now, this is one of the fingertips from it, and you know, I got all kinds of stuff from this hand, and I even have parts of the feet too. And this was DNA certified as human. I took the DNA out of one of the parts of this hand. It was a different finger, but and I have knuckles. I have all kinds of stuff, and I extracted it. But from deep within an arterial network, sent it off, and it came back as DNA human. Now I'm going to show you the DNA test in a second. This is the small giant. This is 3 feet wide. Well, guess what? I have one that this is 3 feet long. The fingertip. Let me show you that one. And that one there is even better condition than this. All right, these are both on my property. These are the fingerprints. You see that? That's the fingerprints that run off. This is the thickness of the skin on the fingerprint. It's called grip skin. Now, this is the fingernail. Take your time. That's the fingernail. This is broken right off, right here. You see that? It was right there. And your fingerprints start right away as they wrap around your hand. Now, and the fingerprints are literally flawless. And I've looked at this in a microscope. I know it's exactly what it is, and it is what it is. And I went up inside and out of the artery, and I took out the you know, what it is it's particulates. You don't get raw blood out of it. Well, you do sometimes. Well, I'll show you these in a second. But these, what the red blood is usually, it comes out a little scratchy, scrapey like. It's not like a chunks of like real hard material. Black blood, this is from vein blood. You see how that's real sharp, hard looking, it's like hematite. Then you have red blood. I've got one around here somewhere. Like this stuff here. This stuff here is, see it? See that? That you could scratch no problem. This stuff here, you'd be all day trying to get into that. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I mean, you can get it, but it's not like that. Not like the red blood. And they look for this. They look for the hematite. All they got to do is heat this up. I think it's 2,850 degrees, something like that, and it'll turn into iron. because all of the other stuff burns out of it. And then the iron, at that particular temperature, those molecules, everything else gets sloughed off. They call it slag and whatever. And it bubbles up to the top, and you just swish it off, and you pour off the iron. All right, this is polygonal masonry. Proof of academic fallacy. Academia has been literally running away from the truth for 10 years. I have been trying to get Yale to examine my stuff with DNA tests and CAT scans and specimens and anatomists and chemistry, and they refuse. So this, I felt like I fell in love this morning, because I want you to come up here and watch this, because they realize too. And now we're done with this nonsense. This is Mystery History 2. They have a lot of excellent content, and you should watch all their stuff. But this is one of those tendon fibers that I just showed you. I am not kidding you. We have missed so much. And wait till you see the stuff what Tyson's going to be putting up. It's just over the top. But it finally, it's broken. And people have realized what the reality of our past is the reality of what was written. The first words that were written in history all appear to be true about these creatures that were just giants and enormous things that actually constructed our Earth. This is not my doing. This is my discovery of what our history is. You know, and it's accidental. I didn't go out looking for this, I'm going to make this, I'm going to figure out. No, just accidental. I found something one day, and that was like 10 years or more ago. And it was refused, and I said, no, this is real, man. You're going to have to deal with this. And they refused, and I said, no, I am not going to retreat, and I did not. And now, finally, thank God, because look at this. We have new species. We have new species. We have no idea what our history was like. That's what I call the no-toes. And that's right where the fibula would have said. You got your tibia, the big one, sitting in that little bucket right there, coming down. And then you got your little bone that comes up, tibia, fibula. And the toes are built right into these. And I have a lot of these. And they have springs. You see that? There's springs in there. Instead of tendons. That's a spring. And here's one that's all rotted out. And there's the springs that are inside. Oh. See that? That's the heel. And these are where the springs are. And the springs come up when you go like that, and they naturally retreat. And then that's the little saddle that the bone sits in. I have them in all kinds of different states of decay. And I have, see these little pins and holes in there? They have pins and holes and springs, and it's over the top. All of this stuff was just denied and dismissed, and really, you know, I mean, it's just not right. It's just not fair. It's not fair to the students. I'd be absolutely furious if I was a student going to Yale. I presented this to Yale 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they just refused. No. And then everybody else said, well, if Yale won't look at it, then we're not going to look at it. So, you know, it's time for academia to do their job. And I'd be really upset. Because it's not just this. It's physics and it's everything else. It's 100% across the board. They had a set script. They said, you go out and say to the students, read this script. And if they can read it back to you exactly as you read it to them, give them an A. If they can't, give them a B, give them a C. If they fight back against you, flunk them, screw them, get rid of them, destroy their lives. Okay, my good friends, this is Roger Spur, Mudfossil University, and I am in deep, deep gratitude to this channel, Mystery History 2. Polygonal masonry, proof of academic fallacy. They won't address this because they have no way to address this. I know how these things happen, and I think everybody is now starting to come around. I've been doing this many years and been rejected for many years, even though having DNA and CAT scans and specimens and everything that changes everything. There is no voice that you can get out to be heard because the professors and the academics are literally at this point frauds and liars and forcing people to say things that they know aren't true. They can't possibly be this incompetent. So where do you go with that? You have to call them frauds and liars. And then you also have to call them intimidators. They could be telling the student, if you don't say exactly what I told you, I'll fail you and ruin your life. So that's not good. It has to change. You know, I just don't want to point fingers at everybody anymore. I just want it to stop. You know, I was so upset and I got so obnoxious that I just made myself sick. I'm serious. I got kind of unwell in the head, let's put it that way, after 10 years of this. And now I see finally somebody is stepping up. Thank God for you people. Polygonal Mason, watch this, listen to this. There's no way to allow this to continue. Now listen.
The globe, yet ignored by academics the world over.
They just
How
ignore
can
it.
certain individuals claim that academia's tale of events be accurate, yet seemingly overlook such astonishing feats of ancient engineering? How can one be expected to believe that the cultures currently claimed as having been responsible for such constructions did indeed complete such tasks, when they are, in reality, too advanced an undertaking even for our own modern civilization? As such, continuing to evade explanation. We feel that many of these individuals are merely towing a line rather than attempting to unravel that which they perceive as enigmatic and considerably controversial to their current supposed viewpoint.
And the reason it's controversial is because the people that stand above the professors, I'm holding them responsible for suppression of truth. That's what causes because the professors underneath are not allowed to speak about this in any manner whatsoever other than don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to Roger. He's insane. He's insane. The guy's insane. That's all I ever hear. I don't hear that you don't have proof. You don't have it. I have it. I have all the proof. I have all the evidence. They just say he's got to be a crazy person. Who would believe all that stuff? Well, I agreed with that until I had the evidence.
We feel there is no excuse for a diligent researcher to overlook these achievements when investigating such sites, or indeed attempting to unravel the secrets of our past. We also feel that if one attempts to explain away such sites, or merely overlook such features in favor of academic explanation, it is an indication of conspiratorial motives rather than that of an honest purveyor of discoveries. There are many unexplained features of the ancient world, many of which we intend to share over the coming videos. And if one merely wishes to convey an illusion of all-knowing, they are soon to become unstuck, just like the academia they so mindlessly follow, and we so vehemently disagree with. Due to these deliberate twisting of the facts, they are undoubtedly highly compelling.
And they are undoubtedly highly compelling. And thank you, Mystery History 2, for your engagement in this discussion. And that's all it is. That's what I want, is discussion. I don't demand that you accept my opinion, but I do want you to contemplate the evidence. Then we can make a decision. But if the decision is made before the evidence is presented, I don't see that as science. I don't see that as science at all. And I am not allowed to present the evidence. So where do I go with this other than to become very frustrated? But now I'm seeing, hopefully, please come to this channel, come to my channel. There's a lot of people out there that are really out of line with the statements they're making, but not these people that I don't see. I think Mystery History, I am liking what they're doing. So far, I haven't seen anything that I really haven't seen everything that they've shown, but the ones that interested me, that I jumped on, I was pretty impressed with. Just as this one here, they're absolutely correct. And I have the evidence to show exactly what this is all about. And it's mind-blowing, 100% mind-blowing, but this DNA certified hand is 3 feet wide, and that's a fingertip from it. And I have the DNA tests, and I have the CAT scans, and I have the specimens, and chemistry, anatomist. So let's get it on. Okay, my friends, I just want to be sure that you understand. 6 years ago now, this goes back, I had 3 DNA mud fossil samples tested. PCR, very, very good quality. I extracted the particulates, sent them from Connecticut to Michigan, and they did the, at the Helix Biolab, they did the analysis, which is PCR enhancement of the DNA. Now, and a lot of people say, oh, you must have scrubbed and touched it. No, I took it from deep inside the arterial network on 2 of them. One of them I tried a little bit different, and it wasn't as good, but it still showed up as human. Now, 2 of them were extremely dense, and it goes through all the different things they did, and the results they had, and the negative controls were negative, and then these 2 were dense, and this one wasn't quite as good. So he's just going to report on the 2 that were, just no question about it. And they sent the enhanced products, the PCR products, down to Eaton Biolab, Biosciences, and they ran what they call a blast against the entire world of DNA samples in the sequence databases, and the blast came back that they were human, Homo sapien, mitochondrial, cytochrome B, and D loop region, both of them. And that's the only 2 he really focused in on, because the other one wasn't quite enough to really be positive, I guess. That's my interpretation. But these 2, he said it was dense, and it says right here. Somewhere it says dense. Excellent quality DNA sequence obtained for both the 36-inch tip and the lung. Excellent. That means that, because I go down, the lung was like just blood. The lung I took from down in the red blood area down in there, and the other one I took a piece off and found an artery and went up inside of that and took that out. So, all right. So there's my proof of the DNA samples. Plus, I had an anatomist look at. Well, I mean, a 10-year-old can tell that's a lung. Just look it up in this is what they call a pleura on the lung. It's a coating. This is a little fascia flap on the bottom. That's another attachment at the top. This is a left human lung. That's where the heart sits in the back, right behind the lung. It's called a depression of the heart. It's no question what it is. It's just that they can't accept it because they say, oh, no, that stuff rots away. If it does in the air, yeah, absolutely. But if it's encased in mud in a 7.3, 7.4 pH, which is what would happen in a giant great flood. And then I'm telling you, they all are in the flood. And not only these humans. There's a goose. There's a feather pattern in the goose's head. You see it? There's the feathers. That's a goose. That's his little beak or bill or whatever they call it. And that's where the throat is, right there. So it's time to start thinking about, and the fabric of this is what they call feldspar. All of this is feldspar. That's feldspar too. Feldspar is fascia. I was going to call this fascia facilitated fossilization because all of it is right. That's what happens. It separates on that plane, on the fascia plane that coats all of the different organs and bones and skin and everything. And feathers. All right, let's go a little deeper, or maybe I'm done. I don't know. I get lost. Okay, let me just, I'm going to make it short for today just to tickle the interest. These are the polygonal little bits and pieces they're talking about, and these shapes. All right, this was the Mystery History 2 video on the polygonal shapes. And, who did this and how did they do it? We can't do it today. Well, let me show you something that can shed some light on this. First of all, there was just absolute giants long ago. That's a fingertip. It's on my property. It's DNA certified. That's where the bone is in the back. These are the blood supplies. That is the fingernail. It's almost 3 feet long, front to back. And here's a piece of the fingerprints. You see it? These are the fingerprints. These are the little sweat pores in the fingerprints. See the little dots? That's the thickness of the grip skin. And that's DNA certified human. I sent it off. I drilled up inside. I took the samples myself out of it. I had 3 DNA tests done. This one was the biggest one. Then I have another one that this is a fingertip from the other one. The fingers fall off. I mean, everybody had like 10 of them at least. And the fingers fall off. And they're very obvious when you start to understand them. And I have things, I have so much stuff, it's just unbelievable. And then we have new species that have springs inside. You see that? Those are springs. That's what causes this to go like this up and down. It's not the same as the feet we have, but it's pretty damn close. And I have them in a lot of different types of decay. That's the heel right there. There's the tendon strap that runs right up. You see it? I don't know if you can see that good. The tendon strap would run right up to the bone. The bone sits in that stirrup saddle right there. Comes down like this. And those are the springs. Now, and here's the DNA tests on the ones I had on my property. And I have also one right here, which is another one, the DNA certified human lung. Now this is our size. So here's what I have right on my property here. This one here's our size. It's also DNA certified human lung. And everything seems to have been from the flood. See how it's flat like that? And they all were preserved in the Mudfossil process, which I also have made my own mud fossils. I understand it intimately now. I don't know what I was going to say, but anyway, all 3 of them were different sizes. It's giant, and I have them bigger than this. I'm not kidding you. I just don't know what to say other than that it needs to be examined. I can't account for this. I'm not saying, oh, I know everything about it. I know what I know about the chemistry. I'm pretty good in chemistry. I live in this realm right here. This is my world. This is my world. And I like this part of it best, the transition metals. Because these are the things that are in your blood. These are the things that make you live. And if you don't have these in a certain quantity, you're going to be sick. And why? Because they give and they take. They give and take, give and take, give and take molecules. They're transition metals. They have little pinchers on them called ligands. And they run around through your body and say, oh, I give you this, you give me one of those. I'll give you one of those, you give me 2 of these. Boop, 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 back and forth. And they bring it to your kidneys, your lungs, your heart, your liver, and blah, 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 and you go back and forth. Now, they're continuously transitioning. What happens when you die? They come down and they say, hey, I gotta work with somebody. He says, no, the guy's gone. The guy's dead. You're going to have to stop right where you are. And they say, well, what am I going to do now? He says, well, find somebody you can pair up with, and then you'll be called stable. And that's what happens. And then the bones work in the mud region, and they take on different other minerals and metals and associate them with these transition metals, and then they become stone once they dry out. So all there is to it. Now, let's take a look at the DNA reports. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot. I did already show you the DNA reports, I believe, and that was one of the things that was DNA certified. And you see this pleura, this is same as fascia. Fascia, though, is more of a rubbery surface. It's not rubbery like this. This is rubbery. Lungs have to do this all day. COVID is attacking this kind of rubbery collagen. There's a certain chemistry that creates a rubber. And that has to be rubbery. Your heart has to be rubbery. Your blood vessels have to be rubbery. That is what's being attacked. I have things to talk about there too. I'm a pretty talkative guy. And you can get blood. You see that blood? It came right out of that lung over there. Blood, right on all over my counter. I'm not kidding you. Right out of this lung. You see all these spots? They all had blood coming out of them. All right, so what we need is an army to demand truth. I mean, why can't we demand truth? I do. You should too. I know it's going to be uncomfortable. Probably, but I think there's a zone now where you're not really in a terrible uncomfortable zone where you're like one person against the world. That's where I was, and I'm telling you, it's not a good place to be. I mean, really, it was tough. I tried to laugh through it and everything, but other people weren't laughing. So I developed my own sense of humor against that. I had to. What are you going to do? And you may end up. Not too many people have found this like a big comforting area. This is something that you're going to carry as a burden of knowledge. Really, it is. That's what it is. Ignorance is bliss. Because once you become knowledgeable, you are in a fight. Just what happened. So we need some warriors. We need people, not war warriors. We need some people to just stand up and say, look, let's discuss this. And how we want to do this is in a respectful way. These people are in trouble. They are. But they should have embraced this from the first day. And all I have found is deniers and really just very nasty people, to be perfectly honest with you, in academia. And a lot of it has to relate that this has some bearing on the fact that the ancient texts were correct, and one of those things is about God, which is not allowed in academia. You say that, oh, no, there was a big bang, everything came from nothing, and it was all dust, and then it all made human life and all that stuff. And if you don't believe that, we'll fail you. So, time for that to change. The case is closed now. And we need a universal platform. I have people all over the world contacting me now. How can I get this in my language? How can I get people to understand? I even had a school, get a hold of me today. Well, I wasn't a school, it was a teacher. He said, well, they're allowing me to teach this. And I want some help. And I said, no problem. And that's what I want. I want a school. This is not for me. I don't want to make any money. This is a labor of love for me, a labor of looking for, literally for eternity for me. Because at 72 years old, you're not looking at, a lot of parties. You're looking at a lot of reflection. And that's what I've been doing, a lot of reflection. And, I don't know if it's mentally good for you or mentally ungood for you. But I can tell you one thing, I've found a lot of things to reflect on. Let's just leave it at that. All right, I love you all. Lead a good life. That's the best advice I can give you.